All right, guys, here we go. Happy Friday. Let's have a good weekend because this week has it's been a tough one. Not great, whether it's the economy or the Orioles not winning since Monday. Feels like a long week. Now we're headed to Kansas City. I'll get to the Orioles in a second, but I'm going to go on a positive note around two topics. One, Derek Queen and Maryland basketball. So let's start there because this is cool. I mean, there's what 90% chance he's not going to come back, 95% chance that he's not going to come back, but him, leaving that opportunity open, being active on social media, probably really helps bringing in some of these local guys. The way Derek Queen's leaned into the Maryland basketball program has been really cool. It's been the, I guess, number one positive thing that's happened through all this negativity because that's the name of the game is recruiting. You have to bring in guys. Guys have to want to come here. It has to feel cool to come to Maryland. And, the last coach made it as not cool as possible to come here with his comments about lack of money and lack of resources and him being in a pissy mood. It's like the worst thing for Maryland basketball. It's not even what he said as much as just the energy behind it. So now if you're a kid and you're trying to figure out where to go, it doesn't hurt to have Queen, keep Maryland basketball relevant and just I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't think he's coming back, right? I don't think anybody thinks he's coming back, but maybe we can hope he has terrible workouts and a bunch of people tell him, hey, I think you're going to go like 11th or 12th. And then Maryland basketball offers him a ton of money. He decides to come back. But outside of that, focusing on Buzz and the new coach, my take on it, it's the perfect coach. I really didn't think we had a chance to get him. So I didn't want to get excited about it when his name popped out. And once he decided to come here, my first question was, why did he leave Texas A&M? Because that was his alma mater and felt like he worked his way for that job. I mean, if you look at his career, he's had a million jobs. And whether he left Marquette for Virginia Tech and then got to Texas A&M, I think it was at New Orleans for a year, that seemed like his forever job. That's where he was just going to end up. It's a 52 and he's been mildly successful there. The program wasn't any good before he got there, and the team was supposed to be better this year. And I think when you dive into some of the local reports, it's a very taxing couple of years, starting with his big run in the SEC tournament, where they went on an amazing run and then lost in the championship game and didn't make the tournament. And then last year they played Houston in a classic game, a great game. They blitzed whoever they played in the first game. Now I'm forgetting, but they scored a million points, and then they played Houston really tight. They lost that game, and then this year they were a top 10 team early in the season, very high expectations, fell off. It was a taxing year, and then the way they lost, to Michigan, it's just like probably left a really sour taste in everybody's mouth, and maybe it's more comfortable to be away from home. Not sure exactly if Texas A&M was dying to keep him. A lot of interesting things about his personality that came out. Some negative, some positive, depending on how you want to spin it. But he really cares about motivational speaking and things that might not be directed to all about winning and recruiting the best talent. And that was a complaint. But for me, as a Maryland fan, I think this is the last place he's going to end up. I think that there's no other place for him to go, for him to make the choice, or whether he's pushed or whatever the ultimate decision was to come to a different part of the country with a program like Maryland. And with his age, I think he plans to be here for the next, 10, 15 years and see if he can make a name for himself and give us a national championship. I think he'll recruit kids that will enjoy rooting for. Texas A&M always rebounds well. They always played hard defense. They were a team that I always liked, and I liked his teams at Virginia Tech and Marquette. So I think it's a good hire. I hope Rodney Rice reconsiders. That, to me, would be the major win of the offseason. I don't know who he's going to bring in. You can read all the articles. There's a ton of different things that, rumors he'll have to make some decisions soon, but it'd be nice to bring back Rice. Gillespie's probably going to be out the door and go to a team, might be a top 10, top 15 team next year. That would be my guess. His recruiting pitch is pretty heavy. The amount of money he'll get is significant. I think Rice could be persuaded to stay. That would be hopeful. The rest of the guys, kind of is what it is. The Malachi Palmer, the freshman, and he had really high grade coming in. NBA prospect, the way he's built, I would hope he would reconsider. So we'll find out. But having Derek Queen as the ambassador, that's pretty cool. So that was first thing on a positive note. And then, before I dive into this Orioles Royals series and give my thoughts on it, the other positive, just I mentioned it last time I was talking, but again, the Warriors Lakers game last night and the NBA. I'll break down each playoff series and give my predictions on that. So if you're betting on it, you'll have that, to hopefully guide you better than I did in the tournament. But the NBA is just the shot making. They have to figure out how to encourage more plays at the rim and get rid of the timeouts at the end of the game. It's like the only two complaints I have because it's just too many 3-pointers. But they go in at such a high rate and the math makes sense. I get it. But the way baseball was able to just eliminate the shift because it was just not as fun to watch. Like, hey, that should be a hit. And next thing you know, there's 4 infielders all on that right side of the field for a lefty. And it just wasn't aesthetically appealing. It's just too many threes for the NBA. It's my only thing. I think it'll cut down a little bit when we get to the playoffs because the closeouts will just be harder and they just won't give up as many threes. That would be the adjustment. I don't know what the rule change has to be, but if you love basketball at the highest level, I'm going back and forth like of watching the NBA and watching the Celtics documentary that's on HBO, and it's like it's completely a new world. No, I'm not breaking any news here, but these guys are absolutely amazing. Yeah, Lakers fell yesterday to the Warriors. Curry was great. I don't have strong take on who's going to win the West. I just think the Celtics are the best bet if you want to bet on who's going to win the East and win the whole thing. They just seem like got everybody back from last year, and they've cracked the code here on the 3-pointers better than everybody. But all right, Orioles 3-4 headed to Kansas City. Seth Lugo takes the mound for the Royals, and Kramer's going to go for the Orioles. Kramer was in his first start, but got the win. Hung around long enough to help the Orioles get the win against Toronto. I don't know. I think Kramer's going to be fine. I think, he's the 4th, 5th starter. Probably don't want him to start a playoff game if you don't have him. But I always enjoy when he's out there. His A-plus game, like when he's rolling, is great to watch when he gets the movement on the ball. He's such a grinder, works hard, not highly, scouted, the whole 9 yards. So I like when he pitches. I like when he pitches on the road. He's Jewish. It's Friday night. Maybe that'll help. So let's just hope so. Seth Lugo was decent, not great in his first start. Seth Lugo was great last year. I hate the Royals. Nobody likes the Royals. They pretty much bring the same team back that they had last year. They're off to a bad start, 2-4. Haven't quite got the bats going, but they have the same cast of characters that we saw last year with Pasquiano and Perez backing up. I guess he's a top 5 player. Bobby Witt, great. Just can't stand him, but he's great. And we miss Raggins, so that's cool. He pitched yesterday, I believe, so we're not going to have to face him. The lefty who was just ridiculous against us last year in the playoffs. So it's Lugo tonight. Then they got Waka on Saturday, and then they throw out Bubsik, I think is how you pronounce his name, a lefty on Sunday. And then the Orioles will go with Sagano on Saturday and Povich on Sunday. So with 2 righties coming up, I think the lineup will feature a lot of Kerstead. Gunner's back. I'm not really worried about the past couple of games. I was high on the Red Sox coming into the season. That Christian Campbell guy, they have a ton of guys. Their best guy's not even up yet. Roman Anthony, I think is his name. But Campbell's ridiculous. He hit, you listen to Morton talk about the pitch he threw him. He threw him a 3-2 curveball yesterday. And Morton was like, yeah, I got him the first couple. I figured I could sneak it in there. And Campbell was like, no, I'm just going to hit this ball over the fence and put him up 4-1. Bregman's home run, first pitch. Just a veteran move there by Bregman as Morton just tried to sneak one by him and it didn't work out. So that was the difference in the game. 10 strikeouts for Morton yesterday. I'm not really worried about it. It's just one of those things where it's a long season and we just didn't win yesterday. The game before, Crochet was perfect. Nothing really to say about that. I still am optimistic about everything. I don't think there's a reason not to be. Let's see how they look this weekend. They're highly motivated as they go to Kansas City to face, not only couldn't they hit the past couple of games, but now they'll be reminded, going into this weekend that they couldn't hit against the Royals when it counted. So hopefully they can belt their way to at least a 2 out of 3 win, and they go to Arizona and will face Burns possibly at some point, or at least that'll be part of the narrative. So it's an interesting 6-day trip. Be really nice to win both the series. And Gunnar comes back. I don't have too many hot takes, on the first 7 games. I would say my number one concern, if you will, or my number one, is that the pitchers that are pitching well in the bullpen so far, Baker, hasn't given up a run, and Soto, even though he's gotten into a little bit of trouble, he's gotten a lot of strikeouts. I don't necessarily know if that continues. So still not really thrilled about the bullpen. It'll be interesting to see how they want to shake things out over the next couple of months. That's going to be the nonstop narrative, especially if they lose a game. Is Kyle Gibson ready to come up, or what happens when he does? Is this guy ready? Is that guy ready? But for now, nobody's going to be ready for the next couple of weeks. So let's just focus on trying to get some W's. I'll be curious to see where he puts Mullins in the lineup. I guess that's the number one bright spot as I'll close out my little preview here with the series. But I think Mullins, there's no real value to batting him second. I don't think, because then you just push everybody down a spot. Do you really just want to stick him in the RBI spot in like 5th or 6th? Seems like the best place to put him because Gunner's going to bat first. They had him batting 9th the other night. I don't think that is in play anymore. He's just hitting the ball way too well. If you want to keep him down there to flip the lineup, but then you got the lefty. I think you're better off just kind of sticking him in the 5th or 6th spot, depending on the situation. But that to me is the number one bright spot. He has to get paid at the end of the year. He'll never get the Santander money. He just won't hit enough home runs to be worth that. And he's got an extra couple of years, but he's certainly in line for like a 3 for 50, 4 for 70 type of thing. If he can keep this up. So he's highly motivated. He looks great. And with Cowser going down, I don't see too many off days for him sticking there in center field. So Gunner comes up. I imagine Carlson will go down, but I'm recording before they made that decision. Can't imagine Mateo goes anywhere. So for those of you that are frustrated with him or don't like him, I don't really. You're talking to the wrong person. I'm a big Mateo guy, and especially the pinch running aspect of it is going to be huge. So around the league, Braves are 0-7. I didn't have that on the bingo card. Everything else, nothing super shocking. That's the big one, though. Braves 0-7, and the Dodgers and the Padres are undefeated. I don't know how long that'll keep going, but man, if you want to watch good baseball, you go out west. Giants are good, and the Diamondbacks. All right, have a good weekend. I'll put out the Final Four bets, but man, it's been a humbling couple of weeks. Hopefully, you guys are gonna have a chance to win your bracket. I do not. Michigan State and St. John's are nowhere to be found, amongst other things. So, all right, have a good day. Have a good weekend. Go O's. I'll see you guys on Monday.